What's up, YouTube? In this video, we're going to be taking a look at this woman that wanted to blind herself. That's right, you guys heard me correct. This woman wanted to blind herself, and she actually did.
I have body integrity identity disorder, which means that a person feels the need to be disabled in some way. In my case, it means that I felt this compelling need to be blind.
This woman is not alone. This condition is called BIID, and there are other people that don't want their legs, don't want their arms, and some of them actually go through with it and cut them off. But in this video, I'm not really going to be focused on the disorder itself. With the recent emergence of these identity conditions, people are being labeled things that don't make sense to me, such as being cisgendered. I'm going to get to why the term cisgender doesn't make sense to me, but first, here's what Dr. Phil had to say.
BIID, and what they're talking about here are people that from a very early time in life, they just have this strong sense that something about their body just doesn't belong. And they analogize this to gender identity disorder. Those people that grow up feeling like they're a woman in a man's body or a man in a woman's body, and they seek sexual reassignment surgery. That for a long time was considered to be extremely bizarre, and now it is not looked at in that way. So they often seek to have sexual reassignment surgery, and people don't have their heart beating out of their chest over that. But here, instead of a sexual reassignment, Jewel is saying, I want a sight reassignment.
All right, so a lot to unpack there, but I first want to start with the main topic of this video, which is why I don't agree with the term cisgender. All right, so it's really as simple as this. Since there are now people like this lady that have this condition called BIID that identify as being disabled, does that now make people such as myself who don't have this condition cisabled? Right? Are we all cisabled now because this group of people have this specific condition? Now, if you ask me, obviously, I'm gonna say no, right? That makes no sense to me. But if we use the logic that we've been using for gender identity, then it does beg that question, right? Because if we apply that same logic that we use for gender identity, then you actually have to say yes, right? If these people are identifying as transabled, then I guess that makes everybody else disabled, right? And that's exactly why the term cisgender makes no sense to me, because it doesn't make sense to me. But on top of not making sense, it's also dishonest, right? If I start identifying as being cisabled, it would imply that my body integrity is an identity, which is not, right? I don't feel like I should have the limbs that I have, right? I just have them. It's not a feeling. It's not an identity. It's just how I am. It's just a state of being, and that's the exact same way I feel about my quote-unquote gender. So likewise, if I identify as being cisgender, not only does it imply that my gender is a feeling and an identity, but it also implies that that said feeling and identity is the same feeling and identity that a trans man feels. First of all, how would you even prove that? But secondly, again, right, I can only speak for myself, but my quote unquote gender is not a feeling, right? I just am, right? I was just born a male, the same way I was born with all my limbs. Sure, if you have these conditions such as gender dysphoria and BIID, like the lady in this video, it's an identity for you, but that does not make it an identity for everybody else.